Hey, what's up, guys? Mark with Under Pressure Power Wash, and today we're going to talk about proportioners and um, pumps. Okay, now this video is going to pertain to all proportioners for soft wash. Okay, we're going to go over some of the basics and then some of the secrets that make this work flawlessly. Okay, now here you have a basic model, and it's really still really good, so don't let it fool you. Okay, you can do one pump, one wand, or two wands. Okay, now you can actually take another plastic nipple, put it here, take another one of these four ways, cap it off, or a T, and then put a pump on one side and a pump on the other side. Okay, between the pump and the next T or the next four way, I would put you one of these check valves, okay, just for shits and kicks. That way you're not going to pull air from the other hose or air from that hose, just in case the actual wand is leaking air, okay, because you just don't want those bubbles in there and stuff like that. Number one, so you can actually do a 1, 2, or 3, doesn't matter. Okay, the proportioners run better with more fluid being pulled through them. The more fluid you pull through the proportioner, the better they work. Okay, now the key to proportioners is anything under 4.5, 5 gallons a minute. These proportioners don't work well at all. This one I would recommend 5.5 and up, and actually a 7 gallon a minute pump would work perfect on this system. If you're going to use a booster pump, obviously you're going to go a little bit bigger than this, unless you got a small booster pump. Okay, and that's a whole different video. So like I said, you can use one pump, one wand, two pumps, two wands. Okay, or you can actually use one pump and then you can tee it off and you can use two wands. But obviously if you have 7 gallon a minute and then you tee it off and you use both at the same time, you're going to be at what, 4 gallons a minute, 4.5 gallons a minute, roughly 4.3, whatever you want to call it. So, all right. Another thing to remember, and it's very important, is when you set this up, I personally don't like the 1/8 inch line. Okay, I'll go with 3/8 and ½ inch. Okay, or 1/4. Okay, and ½ inch. That way you can pull a little bit more thicker soaps through here. Okay, a lot of those surfactants are pretty thick, and if you're going to use this small hose style on there, then you can actually water down your surfactant or your chemicals or your degreaser or whatever it is. You can do like 40% water and 60% surfactant, or 60% degreaser, or whatever you're going to use, Dawn or whatever you guys use, you know, all that good stuff like that, you know, gray wash and blah blah blah. But the most important thing to remember is when setting this up, you want all three of these lines to be exactly the same size. So if you're going to run this proportioner and the tank is 10 foot away, you're going to run, like, you know, 12 foot of hose, 12 foot of hose, and 12 foot of hose on the money, okay, to the T. You want that to be exactly. Now if you have to have one tank over here and one tank right here and a jug right here, you can just loop it around and put a zip tie on it, and don't, you know, make the zip tie tight to crush the hose, just enough to keep it in place. And you can hang it up depending on what you got. Enclosed trailer, you can hang it on a wall, or you can just leave it on the ground and zip tie it. Okay, it's not a big deal. But the key to having these things work properly, okay, is to have the hoses the exact same size. Do not modify them. Okay, if they're all 10 foot, they're all 10 foot. It's very important, because once you got fluid in these lines, they're sitting here, the fluid inside here, it's hydraulic resistance, and when you start pulling from one, there's a little bit of a weight, a little bit of pull in this channel. Okay, and then when you open this valve, then there's a little bit of weight and pull in this channel. Okay, and both of those are going to pull at the same time, or whatever you set the valve at. Okay, there's a key to the hydraulic resistance and hydraulic flow. That's why you have to have those hoses the exact same size. Now, does it really matter if you have ½ inch or 3/8 or ½ inch or 1/4? I like to use ½ inch no matter what, period. Just in case I want to upgrade the size or put another pump on there down the road. Okay, now let's talk about straight fittings and 90s. Okay, wherever possible, you want to use a straight fitting as much as possible. And if you want to bring your hose down and then just loop it around and then it kicks back out, that's fine. Better than use a 90. Every time you use a 90, okay, an elbow, you're actually taking away like 1-2% of the actual flow. You're causing a resistance, and that's taken away from the performance, the pressure, and the flow of your whole system. This poor pump, remember, has got to push. It's got to suck fluid through these valves, through the actual check valves. Okay, it's got a spring in there. It's got to suck against that. It's got to suck against the restriction of the check valve, the restriction of the actual valve itself, and then it's got to suck against all that hose you got there, and then it's got to push on this side, you know, against 200 or 300 foot of hose or whatever you have. Okay, and that's a lot of hose. Now remember that these pumps have a inlet and an outlet. It's right in the front. It's got an arrow on every top of all these pumps. You're going to see that they have an arrow on there. Okay, and obviously that way means in and that's out, period. End of the story. It's simple enough, right? So a lot of people are going to ask me, well, what size tanks do you use? Well, it's not like a single batch mix where you have like maybe like a 100-gallon tank and you go 50-50 or 40-60 or what, 30-70 or whatever you're going to do. All right, this one is a little bit different. Okay, if you have a, let's say if you have a 50 on the water, 50 on the chemical, and a 20 or 25 on the soap, you're not going to use much soap. It's always like number 1 or number 2 on a soap, and you're going to always have like the water on 60%, 80% roughly, and then the bleach or whatever you're going to use, you know, could be whatever. If you find the mix is too weak, obviously you can choke back on the water and open up more of the SH. Okay, it's pretty simple right there. So if you got a 50 and a 50, that's 100 gallons. But the key to this is that you're mixing on the fly, so it's a much more efficient. Okay, and being said that it's much more efficient, you're going to be able to go a lot further. Okay, so a 50 and a 50 will probably go just a little bit further or as far as like an 80. Now if you want to do like 120 and 120, or you want to do, let's say, 140 on the water, okay, and you want to do, you know, 100 on a chemical or an 80 on a chemical and a 20 or a 15 on the soap, then, or you want to do a 5-gallon bucket, that's fine too. But trust me, when you have like say 100, 120, 140 on the water, and then on the SH you have you know, 50, 60, 80, 90, 100, it's going to go a long way. You can do a lot of house washes on that stuff on your trailer, and it's a lot less weight on your trailer also. So you can go a lot further, and you can also you know, just save a lot of resources on your trailer, a lot of space, what I'm telling you. Another thing to remember with performance, when it comes to performance, the bigger the hose here, the better the flow, and the less 90s you have, the better performance, the better the flow. Okay, the less hose you have on the service side, okay, then the better the performance. You have 300 foot of hose, you're going to be, if you have a 7-gallon pump, 300 foot of hose, most likely when you get done you'll be shooting about 5.8 gallons a minute. If you bring it down to 250, 200, you'll be closer to 6.5 gallons a minute. And trust me, if you're on a roof, shooting a roof, cleaning a roof, 5 to 7 gallons a minute is fairly quick, and it's a lot faster than you think it is. Okay, especially if you do it right, if you set it up right. Another thing to remember is the fittings, your nozzles have to match the system, the pump, okay, and it has to be matched also with the foot of the hose, the size of the hose. So I'm gonna say, if you guys just want to skip all the BS and get right down to business and act like a pro, run like a pro, clean like a pro, then just go right to the half-inch hose and bypass all the rest of the other simple stuff. Anyway, I hope that helps you guys out. We'll do another video later. Have a great day.